Welcome to Shoots and Roots, a practical video series that explores the joys and challenges of raising diverse kids through the different seasons of their lives.
Yes, so Shoots and Roots, we launched it some time ago, and we started talking about a garden. And I've recently walked through our garden, and I've noticed it's looking quite barren, with winter or autumn. Officially in winter, but autumn kind of first presents itself as this beautiful thing with red and orange and ochre and golden leaves. But then soon you realize it's just early signs of decay, and then there's nothing. Right now you walk, it's just a pile of dry leaves.
We're trying to find the good of winter.
No, I love winter. I don't know. I love winter. Winter's cool. But walking through the garden, there was some plants that was still alive, and
Still some green.
Yeah. So that made me the one thing. Then the next thing I thought, I walked through the garden, and we have a few fruit trees in our garden. I'd love to have an orchard, but we don't. And they're looking actually look dead. They present as dead. Like it is, they identify as dead. To use contemporary language. But then there's a pine tree at the bottom of it, and it's not looking dead, just missing pine needles everywhere. And sometime we'll get pine cones again. And then I walked through and I thought, the rose bushes, now all the roses, the flowers have gone, but they've created, what do you call it, rosehip or something, all those seed things that are now on there, and it doesn't have any green at the moment,
But they're there.
They're different. The cycads are still green. Leaves are there.
Yeah, they seem to stay the same right through the year.
Yeah, and eventually they'll push up a new crown. We know this. Sometimes they rest, and sometimes they push up. This year we had 3 cycads push up a new beautiful crown. But we had about 5 that didn't. They're resting. The fuchsias, the one that's got leaves, the other one is barren. The creepers on the house. Our house has a creeper on it, and in summer it looks beautiful.
It's green and lush.
It's lovely, yeah.
And even in autumn, it's beautiful when some of the leaves start going like
almost
brown.
goes like auburn.
Yeah.
Instead of dead, but now it's dead.
Now it's dead, yeah. Now that it's winter.
Like the gas geyser, even the leaves were falling in there, and it was caused a problem, yeah. So seasons. A garden has seasons, But in the season, it was also so clear that different types of plants, fruit plants, fruit trees, the normal trees, some stay green, some don't. And I thought, we started Shoots and Roots talking about how our children are planted in our gardens, and we tend the garden, and it's our responsibility. And I thought, there are so many levels of diversity in the lives of a parent. Things you have to look out for, things you have to be aware of. I think even if we look at diversity in our spectrum, in our case and context, there's 6 different personalities. 6 different temperaments. 1 degree of diversity. If you just had one child, you would still have diversity in the seasons that the child goes through. Seasons that you go through. It's a mixture of working together, your life, their lives, diversity. But let's just take our context. 6 kids, 6 temperaments, 6 personalities. 6 different purposes that they need to be prepared for.
It's quite overwhelming when you state it like that.
6 different plants. They're not the same. Same mix, same input from the same parents, but
Same garden.
Same garden, same soil.
Yeah.
And then, I thought, with all that diversity, how dare we compare one to the other? Like, what if one of the kids turn out to be a peach tree and everybody enjoys the peaches and it's lovely and it's wonderful? But like, what if one of them turns out to be a prickly pear? It's to be in different environment, in a different, doesn't require as much water, has thorns, but a lovely, juicy, delicious heart in the fruit, What if some of them aren't fruit trees? What if some of them are rose bushes? And their purpose is different. Like, does our garden just rely on one type of plant? No, it doesn't. The beauty of it is the diversity.
Yeah.
And
I'm thinking if a garden only had one type of plant, it would be a really boring garden. Yeah.
And now, when some of the plants are leaving its color, losing its color, there are still some plants that aren't. Like, some of our kids just love winter. They love the cuddling, the gloves, the beanies, the fireplace.
The hot chocolate.
The hot chocolate and the marshmallows, of course. And some of them don't like summer. Some of them produce fruit. Some of them produce flowers. Some of them have thorns. Some of them grow tall. Some of them give shade. Some of them need shade. In the good way, not the millennial throwing shade. Diversity. It's like, how have you as a mother navigated the diversity in our stable?
We always get back to this point. In every video, I think we've said it. We have to pay attention and we have to be present to notice. Again, we have to take the time, I think, as mothers, fathers, as parents, to notice where our children are and what personalities they have. And we have to get to know that personality. And it's easy to get to know the personalities that are similar to yours because you kind of know what to expect from that personality. But I found with our children that have a very different personality to mine, I've really had to sit and ask myself the question, how does their thought process work? How does their processing process work of just a simple thought? Or it's always so interesting for me when it comes to buying something, when our kids get money. Some of our kids will really sit down and calculate it and plan it. And then we've got other kids who just like, woohoo, I've got money, I'm going to go spend it right now. And you know what? Those ones are the most generous ones because they won't just spend it on themselves. But it's so interesting to see how different their personalities just make a decision like that. They all get allowance on the same day. Some of theirs will be done in the first 3 hours and others have put some away and so I think it is the most important thing, once again, is to pay attention to them. And as you said, not to compare their personalities. I was thinking the other day how easy it is to do that, and that we shouldn't do that as parents because they are faced with that so much in the world out there. There's such a comparison and being a certain someone, being responsible and being integrous and those are all good things. But I think sometimes for some kids, we think when they are not doing certain things, they're not being integrous. And if you just have to sit with them and understand their personality and their thought process, you realize this has got nothing to do with integrity or that they don't have integrity. It's just got to do with how they view something or how they've processed it or how they got there. And if we don't take the time in that for our children, especially the ones who have very different personalities to us, I mean, we've got one child who has got a very similar personality to you. And I often say to Jan, it's hard to parent her because her thinking is so different to mine. And I've really had to take the time to see her beautiful heart beyond the logic that she displays sometimes, you know. And as I've gotten to know that, I've just grown to love her personality.
Because if you look at her logic, you think she is so strong and guarded.
Yeah.
But there is a tender, gentle, kind heart behind the reasoning, which I suppose is probably another degree of diversity that we have to navigate. Is the complexity of our kids, you know, and how they're going to grow up into it. I love that our family also has the entire spectrum of
personalities,
temperaments.
Yeah.
You know, we have the fun-loving, we have the wanting to be the influencer and in control. We have the it needs to be the perfect way, it needs to be the right way, and
let's just have fun.
The absolute mad, crazy fun way, you know, and then even the ones that just want to do it the easy way, you know, like let's do it this way. It's quick and it's easy and it's over, and how tough sometimes to bring all of those together and still form a garden. Knowing where to plant what, who needs water, what needs to do. It becomes a challenge.
Yeah.
How have you found bringing those diverse personalities, we can talk a little bit more, but the temperaments together to form a sibling, cohesive unit?
I think one of the things that I've done as a mom in every day is just having their personality in mind, especially when conflict arises between them, because often enough it will be a temperament thing where one child will say to another one, why did you do it like that, you know? And I have to then explain in their temperament to do things in an easy way is how they were made. And we need to help that person to understand that easy way is great, but it can't always be the way. But then also for the person who will just do it the right way, and it has to be perfect and it has to be methodical, to understand that there's space for things to sometimes just be impromptu and fly off the wheel. And I've tried to let them get to know one another for who they truly are. And for that, we need conversation. Again, it's a conversation that needs to be had. And sometimes I'll notice something or hear something, and then just afterwards sit with that child and say, not accuse them, but just say, why did you react like that to what that your sibling did? And once you also understand their thought process, you can bring clarity and say, yeah, but you have to understand they don't think like you. And it's okay for them not to think like you. And you are going to meet many people in your life who are going to think like that. And is this really how we treat one another when we feel that it's not working? So I think conversation in them getting to know one another is a big thing.
Yeah, like even introducing them to each other.
Yes.
Hey, this is your brother or your sister, and this is how they think. Why don't you talk about it? You know?
Yes. And also, I've always made sure, to the best of my ability, I've tried to make sure that they celebrate one another for their differences. Celebrate that person for what you see in them, even if it sometimes grates you, because it's going to mean something to you one day. And we've lived long enough to see that happen, you know, where you thought, I'll never, just thinking of parenting, I'll never do this and this and this as a parent. And then you end up doing it because it works for your children. My mom always said, never say never.
Yeah, never say never.
Yeah.
Diversity, personalities that are diverse, even your personality to your child's can be so different. Take the time to get to know them. Take the time to have a conversation, to understand how they think. Take the time to allow them to get to know you. And know where they are planted. Know that they need water, or maybe they don't need water. Know that they need shade, or they don't. Maybe discover in God that their personality will be one that brings fruit, or maybe their personality will be one that brings flowers. Like, you know, it's the reality is God did not make our kids in our image. They are made in His image. And His image is diversity in unity. And the one thing that I think has made it easy for us to navigate the diversity is having a standard that we can go to. One unifying thing, which is Jesus Christ, the creator of the world, the center of the universe, and His word that helps us to navigate relationships. Anyway, yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about diversity in the next one.
Great.